Here in West Hollywood, if you can't be a star, you can live next to one, or at least tell stories that you did. This part of town is teeming with celebrity addresses and appearances. For example, the Colonial House, a very tall building built in the 1930s at 1416 Havenhurst, has been the home to many celebrities, including Cary Grant, Clark Gable, and most recently, that firework Katy Perry. It's also where Hollywood icon Bette Davis lived for several years. Some of the building's occupants once told Stuart Timmons that they kept running into their neighbor, Miss Bette Davis, in the elevator. Finally, one day, they conjured up the nerve to invite the movie legend over to dinner, and were delirious when she accepted. They had a delightful evening. A few weeks later, she reciprocated, and the astonished, starstruck queens enjoyed another dinner get-together at her place. However, at the end of it, as the story goes, Bet turned to them and said, "You've had me to dinner, and I've had you to dinner." She had a few drinks, you know. "And now I never want to see either of you again."
Marilyn Monroe once said, "I'm trying to find myself. Sometimes that's not easy." Well, she may have made it difficult for others to find her too, considering the fact that she lived in 43 different locations in her lifetime. Between 1947 and 1961, Marilyn lived at 7 separate addresses in West Hollywood. That's a lot of parking permit applications. However, she never stayed in one place for long. For example, she once shared an apartment on Holloway Drive for only 2 months with that shipwreck of an actress, Shelley Winters. She's a very good swimmer.
West Hollywood is home to William Haynes Designs, now located at the Pacific Design Center. Now, before opening his first store on Sunset Boulevard in 1934 and becoming one of Hollywood's premier interior decorators, Billy Haynes was one of MGM's great silent movie hunks. After he was outed, he refused to submit to a lavender wedding, the term for a heterosexual marriage of convenience, which was common in Hollywood. At age 35, he left stardom behind to live openly with his handsome lover, Jimmy Shields. Joan Crawford called them the happiest married couple in Hollywood, and their relationship lasted for more than 40 years until their deaths, both in 1973. Haynes Designs styled the homes of their famous friends like Crawford, Gloria Swanson, Carole Lombard, Marion Davies, and George Cukor.
For a time, 1334 North Laurel Avenue was the apartment residence of famed screenwriter, novelist, and biographer Gavin Lambert. He wrote the screenplays to Sons and Lovers, Inside Daisy Clover, The Roman Springs of Mrs. Stone, and I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. And folks, I never promised you anything. You're lucky you're getting this, okay? Apparently, even famous gay playwright Tennessee Williams rented out a basement apartment there briefly. You know Tennessee Williams, he wrote the plays Streetcar Named Desire, remember that? Glass Menagerie, and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Remember that? I remember that. Wow!
Oh, speaking of Cukor, he lived on Cordell Drive, just outside of the official West Hollywood border, just north on Sunset Boulevard, but still within the 90069 zip code. George Cukor was one of the biggest Hollywood MGM movie directors. He worked on iconic films like 1933's Little Women, Judy Garland's version of A Star is Born, and My Fair Lady. Oh, and did you know that Cukor was originally set to direct Gone with the Wind? That was until its star, Clark Gable, who was always afraid of being associated with anything gay, used his clout to have Cukor fired. Well, that didn't stop George Cukor from holding some of the most notoriously wild parties where closeted movie stars mixed and mingled and much, much more with some of the most attractive men in Los Angeles. Ooh, I love a good party.
Fabulous after-hour parties were also held at the home of Mr. Showmanship, Liberace. From 1961 to 1979, he resided between Queens Way and Kings Road. I kid you not, I'm not making this up, it's true. At 8433 Harold Way, in an estate that had 30 bedrooms, 7 dining rooms, and 17 pianos. He tried to turn it into a museum where he'd pop in ever so often to give concerts, but after it took in 17,000 reservations in its first week of opening, the neighbors shut that down. They didn't want all these fans and outsiders and looky-loos all in their neighborhood.
Handsome bisexual actor Sal Minio shared an apartment with Courtney Burr, his lover of 6 years. Sal is best known as James Dean's teen co-star in Rebel Without a Cause. Now, as an adult, he couldn't translate his 2 Academy Award nominations into success as a leading man, likely because he'd made no attempt to hide his sexuality, although he continued to secure supporting roles. Sal also directed and starred in a production of Fortune and Men's Eyes. And if you haven't seen the photographs, look for them on the internet, because Sal inserted a scene that was not in the original play, a fairly brutal, full frontal, nude sex scene. And he also starred in P.S. Your Cat is Dead, which he was rehearsing in Los Angeles in 1976 when he was murdered, stabbed in the heart in his carport by a robber who didn't even know who Sal Minio was.
Above Sunset on Kings Road lived the acclaimed and award-winning author Paul Monette. His book, Borrowed Time, an AIDS memoir, chronicles the life and eventual death of his partner, Roger Horowitz. It is one of the most significant and devastating works about love and the AIDS epidemic. Before his own passing in 1995, Paul Monette established the Monette-Horowitz Trust to commemorate their relationship and to support future LGBTQ scholarship and activism.
And that, my starstruck friends, are mere samplings of some of the queer historic stars that have graced this little city just west of Hollywood. The neighborhoods in WeHo are still full of local living legends. Who knows? You might catch a glimpse of some famous folks next time you're in WeHo. Oh, hey there!
Thanks for watching this episode of the Stuart Timmons West Hollywood LGBTQ History Tour. There are a lot more surprises and fun things coming your way.
A gay-themed, it was a prison play.
Riff-raff coming into their neighborhood for a Liberace concert.
I'm trying to find myself.
Bad Betty Davis.
I say that to all my girls.